The Supreme Court just dropped a decision that every single gun owner in America needs to hear right now. And if you're still carrying your gun the old way, you could be walking into a legal nightmare you never saw coming. Quick question before we go any further. Are you subscribed to this channel? Because what I am about to explain is the kind of update that 90% of gun owners completely miss. This is not clickbait. This is a real Supreme Court ruling that already changed the law, and there's another massive case right behind it that could change where you are allowed to carry your gun forever. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss updates like this one. All right, let us get into it. Here's what just happened. On May 15th, 2025, the United States Supreme Court issued a 9-0, completely unanimous ruling in a case called Barnes versus Felix, 9 justices, 0 disagreements. That almost never happens. When the entire Supreme Court agrees on something, that means the law just changed everywhere, all at once, for every single American. Not just in one state, not just for one group of people. For you, for your neighbor, for every gun owner in this country. Now, you might be thinking, okay, what exactly did they decide? Let me break this down in simple terms. Before this ruling, courts used something called the moment of threat rule. What that means is, when a police officer used deadly force, courts would only look at the exact split second when that force happened. They would freeze the frame, look at that one moment, and decide if the officer was justified. That is it. Just that one moment. Nothing before it. Nothing after it. But the Supreme Court just said, no, that is wrong. That is not how the Constitution works. The court ruled 9-0 that the correct standard is something called the totality of the circumstances. This is a big legal phrase, so let me explain it simply. Totality of the circumstances just means everything matters, the whole picture, not just one frozen moment in time. Everything that happened before, everything happening during, the context, the situation, all of it. Now here is where it gets really interesting for you as a gun owner. Think about this for a second. Imagine you are a lawful gun owner. You're legally carrying your firearm. You get into a situation where you fear for your life and you defend yourself. And then police arrive. Or imagine you are at a traffic stop and things escalate. The way courts used to evaluate that situation was by freezing time and looking at only one tiny moment. Now under this new ruling, they have to look at the entire picture. This changes how self-defense encounters are legally evaluated. It changes how force cases are reviewed in courts. It affects your rights as a gun owner who carries for protection. Because now, if you are ever in a situation where you had to defend yourself, a court has to look at everything, not just 1 second. That can work for you, or it can work against you, depending on the facts. And that is exactly why you need to understand this. Here is what most people are getting wrong about this ruling. Most gun owners hear Supreme Court decision and think it only applies to police officers. That is not true. This ruling sets the standard for how deadly force encounters are evaluated by courts. And as a concealed carrier or a firearm owner who might ever use a weapon in self-defense, you're directly affected by how courts think about force and circumstances. Now, a quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Laws vary by state, and your personal circumstances matter. What I am doing here is helping you understand what is happening at the highest level of our legal system, so you can have smarter conversations with your attorney. Let us keep going because this is where it gets even bigger. If you are finding this helpful so far, imagine what you will get in my next video. I'm covering the exact words you should and should not say during a police encounter when you're carrying a firearm. That video could literally keep you out of prison. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it when it drops. So here is the part nobody is talking about. The Barnes versus Felix ruling was just the beginning. The Supreme Court did not stop there. Right now, in 2026, there's another massive case sitting in front of those 9 justices. It is called Wilford versus Lopez, and a decision is expected by the end of June 2026. After that ruling, the state of Hawaii went into full panic mode. Hawaii passed a new law called Act 52, and this law created what lawyers are now calling the vampire rule. No, I'm not joking. They actually call it that. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this so it really makes sense. Imagine you have a valid concealed carry permit. You are legally allowed to carry your firearm. You walk into a restaurant. Under Hawaii's new law, you would be a criminal the second you walked through that door, unless the restaurant owner had specifically posted a sign. The law says that guns are banned from all private property open to the public by default. It is called the vampire rule because, just like in the old Dracula stories where a vampire cannot enter your home without being invited in, under Hawaii's law, a gun owner cannot enter private property open to the public without being explicitly invited or permitted to carry there. You need an invitation. Otherwise, you are breaking the law. And here's the crazy part. If you were caught carrying in one of those places without permission, you would face criminal charges. Not a fine. Criminal charges. Even if you had a completely valid concealed carry permit. Even if you had passed every background check and done everything right. Gun owners in Hawaii took this to court, and the case worked its way all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. On January 20th, 2026, the justices heard oral arguments, and based on what happened in that courtroom, things look very promising for gun owners. Chief Justice John Roberts pushed back hard on Hawaii's attorney. He pointed out that we do not require people to post signs saying it is okay to hand out leaflets or speak freely on their property. So, why should a gun owner need a special invitation to exercise their Second Amendment rights? Justice Neil Gorsuch went even further. He zeroed in on the fact that Hawaii was relying on an 1865 Louisiana law. He questioned this as a historical justification for their modern gun restriction. Here is why that matters. After the Bruin ruling, the Supreme Court said that gun laws must be consistent with America's historical tradition of firearm regulation. So, states are scrambling through history books, trying to find old laws they can point to as justification. But here's the problem. That 1865 Louisiana law Gorsuch was asking about was a black code law. Those were laws specifically designed to strip rights from newly freed black Americans. Gorsuch essentially said, you are using a racist suppression law as your historical justification for taking away gun rights from all Americans today? That is your argument? Hey, real quick. 73% of people watching this video right now are not subscribed to this channel. Do not be in that group. There are over 50,000 gun owners who rely on this channel to get critical legal updates first. Join them right now by hitting that subscribe button below. Now let us talk about what this means for you specifically. Because I know what you are thinking. I do not live in Hawaii. Why does this matter to me? Here is why this matters to every single American. First thing, right now, many states have their own version of similar laws. After the Bruin decision in 2022, states like New York, California, New Jersey, Maryland, and others scrambled to pass new laws. These new laws restrict where concealed carry permit holders can go. These laws are all currently being challenged in courts. Whatever the Supreme Court decides in Wilford versus Lopez will set the standard that all those other courts have to follow. Second, the Fourth Circuit Federal Court already ruled on a similar case called Kipke versus Moore just this year. That court covers states like Maryland, Virginia, and the Carolinas. That court struck down Maryland's private property gun ban as unconstitutional. They said it was directed at gun owners, not property owners, and that it stretched the sensitive places doctrine too far. So we already have one major federal court going against these restrictions. The Supreme Court's decision in Wilford will either confirm that direction or reverse it. Third, if the Supreme Court rules in favor of gun owners and strikes down Hawaii's law, that could open the door to more carrying rights. This would apply in more places across every single state. Restaurants, banks, parks, places where millions of gun owners currently cannot legally carry could potentially be opened up. But here's the warning. Do not get ahead of yourself. The Supreme Court has not decided yet. A decision is expected by late June 2026. And even after they decide, states will have their own legal battles following that decision. This is a process, not a magic switch. If you change your behavior before the law actually changes, you could still face criminal charges. Here is what most people get wrong. They hear news like this, they get excited, and they start carrying somewhere they are not allowed yet. Do not do that. Know the law in your specific state right now. Stay updated. And when the Wilford decision comes out, pay close attention to how your state responds. This information is moving fast and could be critically different by the end of June 2026. Subscribe now, because the next video I am releasing will break down exactly what the Wilford decision means for your state. That video could be the most important one you watch this year. Do not miss it. Let me bring this all together for you with a quick summary of exactly what you need to know. The Supreme Court issued a 9-0 unanimous ruling in Barnes versus Felix in May 2025. It changed how courts evaluate force encounters from a frozen moment approach to a full picture approach. That affects every gun owner who might ever be in a force situation. Right behind that, Wilford versus Lopez is sitting at the Supreme Court right now, and a decision is expected by June 2026. That case will decide whether states can ban concealed carry permit holders from entering restaurants, banks, and parks. A decision in favor of gun owners could expand carrying rights across the entire country. A decision against gun owners could lock down more states and restrict where you can carry. This is the most important stretch of Supreme Court activity for gun rights in years, and you need to be paying attention. Do me one favor before you go. If this video gave you information you did not have before, subscribe to this channel right now. I put in hours of research so you can get this in minutes. I'm not asking you to pay anything. Just hit that button. Because the next update that drops could be the one that keeps you on the right side of the law when everything changes. Stay legal, stay informed, and I will see you in the next one. Legal disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Gun laws vary by state and change frequently. Always consult a licensed attorney in your state for advice specific to your situation.